first experience of censorship in music came with the battle between the dead Kennedys and Tipper Gore's PMRC. I don't know if you remember the Parental Advisory Explicit Content stickers, which used to to go over albums. And this culminated in the obscenity trial in 1985, 1986 over the artwork for the Dead Kennedys record Frankenchrist. And I don't know if anyone else remembers, but the board members of the PMRC were a bunch of white power brokers funded by Coors Beer, who also just happened to be big supporters of the religiously conservative, ultra-capitalist warmonger and former president, Ronald Reagan. So there you go, the elite keeping the lid on challenges to the power, and some things never change, really, do they? Anyway, forward, 25, 26 years or so to Moscow, and four of the founding members of the art collective Pussy Riot performed their inspired punk prayer inside the Cathedral of Christ the Saviour. And for me, it's still one of the best and one of the most effective pieces of protest performance art that I've ever seen, although at great personal cost, as three out of the four performers were arrested and convicted by a kangaroo court in Moscow. Separation of church and state, censorship, state violence, state control, repression of equality, denial of intersectionality, all these, and still the elite, the despots and the sycophants fear art and artists more than anyone since feudalism, capitalism, and all that sort of stuff began. There is a point to my usually pointless introduction, and that point is that my guest today is one of those artists that the elite fears. She's a founding member of Pussy Riot, a multidisciplinary musician and a committed activist. Her music project away from Pussy Riot is called Rosemary Loves a Blackberry, and it's a glorious sort of kaleidoscope of performance art that brings together diverse instruments, beats, imagery, and lyrics that open your mind to eclectic and experimental interpretations, and it's at home with any industrial diehard synth lovers or lovers of the darker magical sounds from the other side. So I'm really excited to find out a little bit more about how she weaves her way through the world. So it's a huge honor to welcome Diana Burkot to the show. Diana, great to see you.
Hi, thank you for inviting. Great to see you too.
Good. So tell we were just talking a little bit before we started recording about the tour. How's you're on tour at the moment as we're recording this. How's it all going?
Actually, it's pretty nice. I mean, it was only the second show in this tour. It was yesterday in a castle, and it's quite a small city, but really active. I mean, there in a show it was a lot of people, even it was on a Monday, and yeah, it was like a really warm welcome.
And do you get time to kind of talk to the to the people that are coming to the show? Do you get a chance to sort of chat to them before or after?
What do you mean? Sorry.
So the people that are coming to the show, the people that are coming to watch you, do you get a chance to to talk to them? I mean, I'm interested in what sort of things are on people's minds, and what kind of conversations are going on in the world.
Actually, we are all who in a Right Day show really open all the time because it's part of our, let's say, honest activity that we really want to exchange information, have a conversation, because we are in the primary line, actually activist, and it's very important to have kind of community and a horizontal system. And yeah, actually, it's a lot of conversation. Sometimes it can be have no any energy and resource, and they just hide them somewhere in a green room. But more often, we communicate a lot with the people.
What sort of things? I mean, are there some things that are common that seem to be on people's minds when you're talking to them?
Really often people start to say that it was so bright, and it's still really bright and dangerous for us to do something, and they want to make us something like heroes, and they really don't like this because it's, it's something like when people put you a little bit higher again. I don't like this position. I really believe that everybody like the same, let's say. And
Yeah.
actually, I'm not believing this conception of hero in general. It
Mm,
looks like it's so easy, like, not take responsibility, and just like somebody somewhere will do something and everything will be okay, and everything will be good, and all
mm,
of this. Actually, the activism and in general, like, we are all citizens in our cities and country, and the government only like a manager. They exist only because of our taxes, and they should to do what we are want to do. I mean that they should do something for us, for
yeah.
our more comfortable and freedom life. And if we want it, we all should to go to the board, like go to riot in the streets, to have I don't know, a better quality to life.
Mm,
And that's why I really believe that everybody like a heroes, because one person cannot do anything. But if we are all will go to vote, for example, for person which we really want to see in the power,
mm.
it can be changed.
It's interesting. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I totally agree with you. The government, governments are supposed to be, represented bodies that carry out, the functions that the people want them to, but it's clearly not like that anywhere now. And then there's this yeah, this idea of um I suppose hero worship, which exists, a huge amount in music for sure, but I guess in anything, where there's this, cult of celebrity,
Yeah,
you know,
I don't like celebrity in general, like this
it,
position, because we all only like people. I mean,
mm,
and sometimes it's so easy to think that okay, this person only because famous, know better what to wear, how to look, what to think, and everything. And actually, it can be a quite dangerous way. For
mm,
example, one of my like favorite musician when I was a teenager was Kurt Cobain from
mm,
Nirvana.
yeah, yeah,
And I still think the music like genius. I like it, and I really like his mind view, because in those times he already speak about the women rights, feminism,
yeah,
LGBTQ plus,
mm,
and about against the celebrities too. He was quite like a simple person,
yeah,
but I really remember when I was a teenager, like I mean even like a younger, more like a child. I think that maybe heroin is so cool because like Kurt Cobain was like use heroin, and I thought I should try it because for me
yeah.
it was like only part of his image, let's say.
Mm, mm. I guess that, yeah, that idea of image, and and also that now nowadays, I guess you know the the platform that some that performers have of through social media, means that their message can reach so many people, and it's incredibly important what's said, how it's said. The whole communication is just sort of so important. And this idea of, yeah, I agree with you. This sort of cult of celebrity. Don't worship your heroes. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? And I know through just from doing this podcast, when I talk to so many musicians, they they have the same feelings that I do about certain things. They're human beings, but the society puts them into this, it's onto this kind of pedestal. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and for the individuals itself, it must be so. Well, I guess it sort of feeds an ego in some ways, but also, the pressure it must give.
I don't feel a pressure, for example, but sometimes it can be, if mm, I'm not really famous. person. I cannot imagine this. But what I feel in my situation, that sometimes people really want to have your attention
Mm,
and communicate. And I'm like not really public. How to say it? I'm not really. I'm more like introvert. It
yeah,
just happens
yeah.
if we talk about the musician. Like for me, it was like I really like to make music. I want to like be a musician. It's like a point of my life in general. But it somehow happens that if you're a musician, you need to be in the stage, you need to communicate with the people and with journalists and whatever. But it's not what I really like to do, let's say. And
Mm,
yeah, sometimes it can be pressure only that you you should be really nice all the time, even you like really annoying because of headache or something. You still
yeah,
should to be nice because
yeah.
people can like think, oh, it's terrible. Why this person like in this behavior? You like, yeah,
I mean, at the end of it, yeah, you know, you're a you're a human, and you know you have feelings, and you know there's sometimes when you know you just can't be, you don't feel like it, you're just not feeling whatever's going on, and you know you see some people saying that you know, or they try to talk to this musician and they weren't that friendly, and it could be you know for so many reasons, but that's what gets put out there, that so this person isn't friendly. It's like it's crazy, you know. It shouldn't be like that. And also the you know the thing that you know if you're you know if you're an introvert, I remember reading, it was an article or an interview with Karen O from the Yeahs.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she said that you know I you know I dress in these really you know kind of flamboyant, beautiful costumes and outfits, and I'm really extroverted on stage, and then I come off stage and I'm just this really shy, quiet introvert that you know I don't really want to go and talk to people, but you know, and it's almost like there's two personas. She had two personas.
Yeah, I like her now, and in one moment in my life, I like so much like yes in general. I even like make the same haircut like she.
Oh
I,
yeah,
it was my first band like in my life. The name of the band was like Banana Princess, and we play kind of like indie rock music. And I
yeah,
remember like I liked her so much. Yeah.
yeah. She's really great. And I mean, going for you. I mean, going back to you know when you were a kid, when you were younger, you know, growing up. I mean, what do you remember as your you know kind of big influences on who you've now become?
I think in the really beginning it was always about the music in general,
Mm,
and it was like this. And now actually it's a bit changes, but still like this. Like music, the biggest passion and love in whole my life,
mm,
and I listen a lot of everything. Like it was like even like for beginning, yeah, it was let's say like Nirvana, and then I start to listen yeah yes, and then more like noise rock, for example, Lightning Bolt or
mm,
like Dracula. And yeah, when I was like more teenager, it started to be more, let's say, punk rock noise music.
mm,
And for example, I learned about the feminism through the
mm,
music too. It was
yeah,
because I listened Bikini Kill and then Le Tigre, Al Savan, Slither Kinney, a lot of music. And yeah, I started to learn about this through the music, and then
mm,
about the, let's say, because of the hardcore punk rock music, I learned about the vegan stuff and about my rights, and then it started to like yeah develop
mm. What
this.
was it that?
Mhm.
What was it? If I mean, I think back to like when I mean, it was a long time ago, but like my childhood, and like my um, it was interesting because like how I got into because punk rock and sort of that hardcore scene was my first love really, for of music, and I wonder how I got into that sort of music as opposed to some other different sort of style of music, and I think I've tried to work that out, and I think that like when I was a kid, I was classically trained in classical music, and I kind of rebelled against it. I did it for a long time, and then I became a bit resentful about it, and because and I think that resentment was showing itself with punk music because it was this sort of rebellious, little bit, sort of different, and it was sort of pushing against what I was being asked to do by my dad, and I just find it interesting how these influences or these kind of formative influences stay with you through your life, and I was listening to that sort of music for I still listen to it, but it took me a while to sort of branch out into different styles of music.
I think that's for me in a really like almost in the beginning was so many different music
Mm,
because yeah, for example, I was in this wave when everybody listen like Limp Bizkit, for example, or
yeah,
Korn, and
yeah,
at the same time I listen, for example, Björk, and I really it's one of my teenagers memory, really bright memory when I listen Björk and she has performance in Moscow and nobody from my friends listen her and I go on this concert alone and it was kind of like open mind for me because
mm,
there was one, of course it was like a really cool show and such a beautiful music, but one of the things which really like influenced me it's was kind of how to say something really creature like a yeah, crispy stuff, and
mm,
there was like microphone and one person just like walk on this crispy stuff and it sounds, and this
mm,
was like wow, this is music too. And then, for example, I study in Moscow College of Improvisation Music. It's more about the jazz. I
mm,
opened for myself like Thelonious Monk, and this was like really interesting too. And we learned something about the more avant-garde music, like John Cage. It was
mm,
like kind of surprise for me. I was like, wow, it's crazy, it's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And yeah, it was more about not music, but let's say about ideas of music.
yeah,
And yeah, Stockhausen was like yeah really cool person for me, like musician. And the same time I listen, for example, Black Puss. It's like a solo project of a drummer from Leighton Bold, and I
mm,
felt that yeah, why like drums not like you can really easy to imagine how a musician play guitar, for example, is singing or like another instrument, but not often the drummer can be like a solo performer.
performer,
And I
yeah,
thought, wow, yeah, I thought that's it's so cool. I mean, that's it's always was a lot of music, like Diamant de Galas. I think it was like wow for me too, and yeah, and the same time I listen like Nina Simone, for example,
mm.
and this how actually everything like collect I like collect all the treasures from the music like in my heart and my mind.
Like improvisation and kind of like experimenting with music has always been a big part, of your life. I mean, what was it that do you think that drew you to that experimental, or that the ideas of how to do things, a bit differently?
I think it just like be really open for everything because you
Mm,
never know how to it can what it can be and how amazing it can be. I just
yeah.
was really open for everything, and I'm still kind of this person. and I like really, let's say, noise music like Merzbow, like jazz, like noise rock, and I don't know, grunge and academic music. It's a lot of everything, and it's always like the main point. It's like music in general, because it's so inspiring me. Like I can really only maybe half a year ago, I opened for myself Pauline Olivers,
Oh
and
yeah.
she amazing woman, and actually she
Yeah.
was like activist, and she opened a lot of stuff even more early than Cage, for example. And it was like, I remember when like I opened her name for me. It's one of the piece of music like Bye Bye Butterfly. I was so like, wow, because I started to watch a lot of interviews and like her theory for meditation music and everything. And I have so many inspire, and this like feeling of inspire, like really give me so many stretch and power.
It's interesting you mentioned about Pauline Oliveros, and I on this podcast maybe about 2 years ago. I was talking to. Do you remember the band Savages? Savages.
Maybe.
So there were four of them, and the guitarist Gemma Thompson. I was talking to her. The lead singer, who's probably done the most since Savages kind of broke, is Jenny Beth. So Jenny Beth is now a sort of solo artist. Anyway, Gemma Thompson was the guitarist in Savages. They're an amazing band. They only did two albums and then kind of sort of stopped. But Gemma Thompson now does she does like sort of solo music, and it's very experimental. And she mentioned about Pauline Oliveros. She was talking about, you know, how amazing that she was and what an influence she'd been on her own work. And Gemma was doing some printmaking. She was doing a printmaking course and doing a lot of, you know, printmaking materials with you know, like aluminium and other materials. And then when during the time of COVID, when she was going out on walks and listening to the sounds around her, and then translating that into drawings. And it was really interesting how she was doing that, and she was taking a lot of influence from Pauline Oliveros. So it's interesting, you know, and as you say, she was you know, an activist as well, and have that, you know, kind of combination of activism and experimental music is I mean, the, you know, the fact that I can remember this and talk about it is, you know, shows how positive it is.
Yeah, I think it's how actually it's can be a really good example. One, let's say, really good musician with a big name can use it like her platform, like her voice or his voice for talks about something like important. For example, the Björk, let's say, I think around maybe 4 already months. Plus, like she collaborate and make a feat with Rosalia, and all the money they donate about, and in general they because of this piece of music like track, they speak about the population of fish in Reykjavik. It's like wild fish in the ocean and the sea, and special like farms for fish, and kind of gene modification stuff. And these fish go out to like the main population, like regular fish, let's say, and they like have something. I don't know how to say it in English, but in general, it's like really bad influence in a wild population fish. I mean, that's it's really good that like people can musician, not only musician, all the people can like kind of more strong voice because of they popular and talk about some special things, important things, because right now, for example, I know maybe already not now, but before it was a lot of about the rap music and hip hop music. And in this music, it's more about how to be like a rich bitch and nothing more. And if it was a lot of talk about important stuff in the 19th, for example, even in the zeros years, like in the 10 and the 20, it's more like really like selfish, not about there's something like more bigger than, not speak about something what more bigger than you.
Yeah, no, this is an interesting one. I mean, there's a band that they're talking about sort of hip hop. They're bringing together. I guess this is the trouble with genres. I can never describe them because they sort of cross over, different styles of music. But they're a band called Dialect, and they're a sort of industrial experimental hip hop band, and they started maybe about late 90s, maybe 97, 98, and they're incredible. I saw them at this play in Brussels in this is kind of like was it this great venue that's like it was like a sort of commune, like a kind of anarchist commune in Brussels, and it was such a great show. But it's really and the music is fantastic. It's like a sort of hip hop beat and Will raps, but there's this industrial noise that's sort of going through it. It's really great. But that's a Will and Dialect. They play. They're talking about a lot of social issues. They're a very political band, and I think it's still there for sure.
Yeah, but not a lot of. I mean, the more younger generation, it looks like they are more about the individual stuff, and it's how I feel. Maybe I'm wrong, actually.
No,
Because,
it's an
like,
interesting perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like Tupac or Beastie Boys, they was more like in politics in general or some important question in general. Yeah, maybe I just not see so many like bands and artists who like talk about it, or like yeah, maybe I just not see it. But it just what I see, I mean, how I feel it, that's I think we need to like more all of this in the music, not maybe directly, because I know that's a lot of people like we want to listen music, we don't want to like listen about social political stuff in general. But you can, like, for example, just to make a music, but when somebody asks you like in an interview or something, talk more about the like really simple actually stuff, because it looks like what really needed right now.
It's interesting, this, isn't it, about why some why artists don't talk about any sort of either social issues or politics or things that are important to them, whether it's because they just don't have things that are important to them, which I don't know, or whether they're just they feel that it will damage their career.
Yeah, I think it just only because of if it's always like politic and like religion, the topic that's what you not should speak with the people if you don't want to fight with somebody, let's say. It's really dangerous way. And if you not speak about it, it's more easy, and your listeners can be like from this group, from this. And if you start to speak about it, somebody will thought, oh, no, I think in another way or something. It's more about the populism, I think, in general.
Yeah, I remember reading a book recently about Bad Religion, the band, and they've been a political band forever. But one of the things that they wrote was about how to communicate the message, you know, and you know, about whether it, what was more effective, whether it was effective to be, you know, very blunt, you know, in the message, or
Mm.
to be more, I guess, suggestive and sort of softer, to let people, to put seeds into people's minds to start them thinking about their own position, whether that was more effective. Do people like being told what to do, or should we try and bring people along? I don't know.
I think it can be different. I mean, if somebody would told me through the music, or like musician would told me that you should think about this one, the first my reaction will be no. It was like right, no, I don't. Why you told me what I should do and how I should think? Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
should be more polite and have a space for people to make their own decision. Maybe I start to be, let's say, more radical right now, only because all of the situation was happened with the Pussy Riot, with the war, and
Yeah.
everything. Because for me, it was kind of, how to say, for example, in 2012, when we had has this action in the church, was
Mm,
really clear, like not really, but okay, it's the mostly it was clear what's going on. I mean, that Patriarch Kirill, for example, he
mm,
like KGB agent, and in the 19th he used like a church to have a business and make a lot of money. Because of the church he buys cigarettes and alcohol and then sell it without taxes.
mm,
And he was it's, how to say, it's like the same horizontal of power. It's like a Putin and a government, and Patriarch Kirill in the church. And the Russian Orthodox Church really influence like effect on the people. It's
mm,
one of the tools for like propaganda and manipulate. And it was like believers who, like, sometimes in Russia it's so difficult can be. You have no like money, you have
mm,
no good education, and the definitive circle just work, 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 and you need to find something. That's why you can go to the church, and people go in the church, and Patriarch Kirill and all of his like political, let's say, told that you should suffering because it's okay. Jesus suffering too. It's okay to be poor. It's okay everything. And by the way, you should go and vote for Putin, something like this.
mm,
And the what did Pussy Riot? They just have the spotlight on this situation, just to have conversation between the like people, let's say. And I was in this, how to say, like two road, like
mm,
activist and musician, and all of the musician community, everybody like laughing on me. It was really like toxic community. When I start to speak about the political stuff, they like ha 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 and all of this.
right.
And I even remember, that we have some band, like hip hop band, rap band in Russia. It's like legalized, and they one of the really popular song by them was "We Knew People Out of Politics," something like this. And my friends, they are really singing this and like have a fun time and everything. And I feel myself like stranger, let's say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and those moments I decide, okay, maybe I too much like looks like fanatic, let's say, talk about all of that stuff which important for me. I should like make maybe like a 2 or 3 steps back, and not to pressure,
Mm,
let's say, not to be so active to talk about my mind view about something. Yeah, and after like 10 years, everything like change, and for everybody start to be like so clean how important was what Pussy Riot did. And
mm.
maybe if we was, for example, more active, more clear, like speak with the people, like try to do our best, maybe more than we did, maybe we have no this situation which we have had right now. I don't know.
Interesting. How did you? I mean, that must have been quite tough, you know, when you're the the one that feels different, you know, because you're talking, you're talking about your politics, and you're wanting to bring it into the music, and people that are close to you are kind of saying, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" I mean, how did you feel when that was going on?
It was quite difficult because I think in those moments, in one moment, I decide just okay, I give up. Like
Yeah.
it's not work. Maybe I too much straight. Like you thought, what way can more work or no? It's a
Mm,
really like polaric stuff. That's in one moment I think that it should be maybe like uh be I mean in those moments be more active and try to explain again that again that again, try to find the language which will
mm,
work. But in those moments I try to and decide that okay, it's too much for me, and I just start to play in a band. In those moments the name of the band was like Fanny Kaplan, actually the woman who tried
mm,
to kill Lenin twice.
yeah.
And I played drum there, and it was this music was like more abstract, let's say. It was like uh, a bit industrial, no wave, like punk
Mm,
rock, let's say, but we not talk about the politic in general.
mm,
But I remember, for example, when somebody asked us to talk about the like Women Day celebration, there was only one band who told, like I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. It was like not so long time ago. We talk
mm,
about the actually this day about the celebrate of independence and women rights and everything. Yeah, it's like it's more complicated, I think. It's have a
no.
several dots.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you find yourself um moving towards a different group of people after that? People who were more, becoming friends with a different group of people, or people that were more in line with what you believed in.
I think I decided that it's too much difficult for me,
Mm,
and I decided to be like yeah, less political. In
mm,
those moments, yeah, I just decided that I have no structure to fight with everybody. Let's say because, for example, uh, mostly like almost all my time actually I was in a musicians community, and
mm,
in those time nobody really like understand what's going on and what can happen, and they prefer be like out of political even like I don't know, hardcore bands. They like, yeah, they not believe that something wrong, really bad can happen. And I
mm,
decided because everybody like told me, can you like be not so radical or don't tell anybody that you are in like from Pussy Riot or something, because in Russia in one moment the musician community not really support Pussy Riot. It was a lot of artists and activists who support and really understand what's going on, why band do this and what exactly they do. But in the music community it was like in another way.
what can you talk about why they didn't believe in what you were doing with Pussy Riot?
I don't know. I mean, that's for example, like after the annexia Crimea in 2014,
Mm,
it's still was like not clear for people what can happen, and
mm,
actually, it's not something like special to understand that something bad can happen, because if somebody like in the power, like Putin, I mean.
mm,
So many years, it's people start to be crazy when they have so many money and power so long time, and
mm,
that's not right. It's not about the democracy. And in 2011 and 12 it was like more air, like more freedom in the air, but then like step by step, really slowly and small pieces, one more small
yeah.
pieces, one more small pieces, the freedom like in general, like the government like
It
uh,
takes the freedoms away, doesn't it?
yeah,
It's
and what we have right now, that's we have no like freedom of speech in general. You cannot say like war is war because the article of discreditation Russian army and it should to be a special military operation. We have no independent journalism. If you want to use, I don't know, Instagram, you should or Facebook, you should use VPN. We have new laws about the gay propaganda and LGBTQ plus people really like in dangerous situation. It's like even love under the law, and in general, like it looks like crazy. And the Patriarch Kirill, let's say, if we talk about what was in 2012 and what right now, it's still like it's even like a really more evil because right now the Patriarch Kirill told us he blessed the weapons, blessed soldiers go to Ukraine and kill people there. He told the women that okay, women should like really love men and born more people because, for example, if women will have like 10 children, one of them will die in Ukraine, somewhere in the war. It will be not so sad. And even this here, how to say, they try to have this mind view for people that's the Russian people in general, like something like really special. God love us, and God want to have a Putin like president, and this is like a war. It's a blast war, something like this, and that's so dangerous. Like because of something not really practical, but more like mind view. Like yeah, it's crazy, and propaganda work really good. And yeah, if we talk nobody can like let's say almost nobody can accept, imagine that it will be like this maybe like 5 years ago. It was some people like for example Nemtsov, and that's why Putin killed him. And right now all of the independent politicians like oppositioners, they are in a prison or already go out from the Russia or that.
It's yeah, I mean you're right. When you look back to what you did in in 2012, and it's from my where I was then, it felt it felt very like really visionary, and it's like that this is what's happening now, and people need to open their eyes to what is happening, and you almost had this vision of what it's going to be like today, 12 years later, and people, and it's it's not just Russia. We have it here in the UK. You see it absolutely in the United States, of how people sleepwalk. They let these things happen, and there's this apathy of just living in the moment. And as a lot, and this what you were talking about earlier with some musicians, this individualism. That it's all about me. As long as I'm okay and I'm getting through today and I can get through tomorrow, that, well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to upset the boat or things like that. And it's so dangerous because you see, I remember, like the United States, a senator from Florida, Republican senator in Florida, went on his Instagram account and said, he basically said, we don't like communists here. We like people. We want people to come here that make money, that like to make money. And if you believe in if you believe in all this sort of equality, we don't really want you here. I was listening to this. I was like, oh my God, this is what we've become. And here in the UK, the right to the right to protest, to demonstrate is being squeezed, with extra powers that are being given to the police, about how you conduct a demonstration, all this sort of stuff. It's happening around the world. I mean, Russia is clearly a very big, and very obvious example of the way that things have gone. But it's happening around the
Exactly.
world.
Russia just really good example. I'm agree that actually it's going on in the whole the world, like really crazy stuff. But Russia just really good example how it can happen,
Yeah.
because we lose our freedom only during like I don't know, 10, 15 years, like really short period, and it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. How do you keep the you know the motivation and the resilience to? Do you feel like you need to count on your resilience to keep doing what you're doing?
I think because of, like I told before, for example, a lot of people like really inspire me.
Yeah.
And one of them, let's say the suffragist from UK.
Mm, mm.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry for my
Suffragettes.
pronouncing my English, not really.
Suffragettes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They do like a really crazy cool stuff already, like more than 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And for example, strategy for activists, like spread the information more horizontal through the like mass media and newspaper and everything. It's what they are create. And hunger strike, like a politician move, they
Mm,
are created too. And because of a lot of musicians, activists, and people in the general science people really inspire me what they did. I feel that's it just start to be like normal part of my life,
mm,
because like yeah, I live in it. I like interested in a lot of things. I try to read a lot of, and like yeah, how we can, for example, just when people told me, "Oh, we don't need feminism, everything is okay." Okay, only because of like only 100 years ago, because of those people who actually, some of them really die because the idea
yeah.
we can wear what we want. Women can have education, go to vote, and have in general like a riot, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just starts to be really clear for me. This is part of my life, and I really want to understand what I do and why I do this. And anybody like can't say me anything, but I really know that's politic really deep in life of all of us.
Mm,
Even we think that we are not in it, like how to say it in English. That doesn't matter. Okay, it's a special term. And if people think that they are out of politics, no, the politician will do whatever they want to do, while you just think, oh, why you really actually like childhood behavior, a bit naive, think that everything
mm,
is okay, like I don't need to do anything, la la la.
mm. I think also that people are kind of sucked in with this idea of of meritocracy, sort of working, you work hard. If you work hard, you will, be successful, and success.
No.
That's I think people do get, they get drawn in, still get drawn in by that, but the reality is that for that only works if you're part of the elite. So if you're part of the, kind of like, sort of white males, or the upper class, there's a class thing that's going on. But for many people, if you look, at intersectionalism, there's no way that meritocracy works at all. But yet people, this is what is talked about by many of the, kind of capitalist governments, that this is the way to be successful and to make something of your life. And it's crazy. It just and it stops the, for many people, the thinking for yourself, because you become obsessed with working 14 hours a day, for a company that is going to give you fuck all. Excuse my language, but
I think that's its wrong way. I mean, while you have 14 or 20 11 12 or 14 hours of work, you have no any free time to work on yourself, let's say,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
self-education and everything. You have no any free time even to enjoy your life. In one moment, it's very funny story. I will tell it shortly. We have a kind of Berghain, but in Moscow,
Mm,
Mutabor nightclub, techno music, like Berghain.
mm,
And it was a moment when I performed there in the main stage, really big stage, with my solo project, like Rosemary Loves a Blackberry. And
mm.
after, I don't know, for a while, because of the COVID stuff and whatever, I work in this club already, 14 hours, I think was my night smena. Okay, I don't know how to say it in English. So, and they work really hard and
Mm.
make a tea and alcohol for people who came there. In those moments, I really understand that I don't know, life can be so surprise and weird. You can work a lot of, you can be in one moment, everybody wants to speak with you because you're cool, you perform somewhere, la la la. And the next day you can be just make a tea for these people and they even not remember your face or your voice. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was difficult time to work there, but it's given me so many answers in general, what can happen. And I think it's very obvious, let's say, and maybe too much not deep. But the truth and knowledge give you really power. Yeah.
Mm. I know. I
I know
completely.
what is hard work. I know what is hard work, and it doesn't matter. I work with in those moments in the music really hard, and I work in another work with hands something really hard too. But it's not change and it's not make me so successful or something.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, the idea of what you mentioned about truth and knowledge, this idea of education, and of true education, here in the UK, I mean, they don't have an official educational syllabus, but it's there are guidelines as to what is taught, and there are so many gaps in what's taught. For example, about history. That kids come out of school with a very a one-sided view of what the the British history is about, and that's something that's again is replicated throughout the world. You get to know what they want you to know, and a
I
true
think it's
education.
everywhere. I think
a
it's
tr-
everywhere.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah,
No, no,
continue.
no. It's okay. No, I was just going to say. I think that that education, that knowledge. I think it was Henry Rollins said that education is the great leveler. That's what when you have an education, when you have the knowledge, that's when people really start to become equal. It starts to be
Yeah,
more equality. But we don't have that. So people, and there's that ceiling, that lid that's being kept on people because they don't want people to have the full knowledge.
exactly. I think it's everything can change really quick. Just one generation, and everything will be figure out in general. It should be only new strategy in education. That's all. The most important is a critic view, and if you will learn people the critic view, it's only one thing. It's really difficult, but still,
Yeah,
and people after this have this too and can figure out during the all information and everything to understand this is true, this is only a small piece of true but a lot of liar. uh, uh, and yeah, it can be only through the education, uh, but it just the government in general, they don't need it, because if people not understand what's going on, it's more easy to control them. And it was like so many, like 1,000 years, and it's still like this. For me, it's just surprise why it's still like this.
I mean, the other thing is, about education is what is taught, in schools as well. So, I think I remember talking a few years ago to it was maybe 7 years ago to she was she is a pediatrician in Nebraska in the States, and we were talking because I've been doing some research on the importance of emotional intelligence, so things like empathy and self-awareness. And so I was talking to her about what her thoughts were on emotional intelligence, and she said that it is the most important thing that can be taught to children from the age of basically as soon as they start making friends and being in society. Because once you're into society, society gets hold of you, basically you're fucked. But to have this ability to, and particularly with empathy, so that you can start to see things from other people's perspectives. Because I don't think we do that.
Yeah, I think the school actually and university, it's not only about the knowledge, but it's about society too, and you can like communicate. And Robert Sapolsky, do you know Robert Sapolsky?
I've heard, yeah.
He has like a lot of like society experimental, and for example, one of them, let's say, Afro-American person and some white guy, I don't know, watching this guy and think that I don't feel like comfortable with this guy. But if you will wear on this Afro-American person like the hat of with name of basketball team, which another person like, he will be think, oh yeah, I like this guy. I mean, that's everything like. And Robert Sapolsky told that actually the new neuron chains grow up actually not as much as when you learn something new, but more when you communicate with the people. And yeah, I think it's society in general, it's very important, and this, in society should be a lot of people from different countries and different like mentality and culture in general, because it's really easy. For example, right now it's crazy situation with refugees from Iran, and it's like kind of dehumanization stuff. That's we don't want these people because they are like wild. They have another religion or something. It's really easy to make these people from another, like, I don't know, world in general, until that they're kind of not normal and we don't want to share the space with them. But actually, when you start to communicate with these people, you understand that, oh my God, it's just the same people. We have the same problems. We want to like have a good food, sleep, and like the same stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely right. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't have put it better. It's totally right that as long as if we can just open our minds and step away from this fear, that these ideas of fear that are put into us by the media, and the media has a big role, in how it what it communicates. If we can step away from that. I noticed that before we started recording, that I'd said that we've been in India, and when we were out in these sort of villages, there was a language barrier sometimes. We found there were a few people that sort of speak English. We didn't speak the local Indian dialect. I think there's something like 50 different languages within India. It's a huge amount. But when you communicate and you just talk to people, you know, they are people like us with the same, you know, wants, fears, anxieties, you know, and it's really obvious. What I think when you sit down and actually talk to somebody, all these things
Yeah.
start to go away when you build that kind of connection with somebody.
Yeah, it's because we like really travel a lot, and
Mm,
I try to communicate with people everywhere because it's
yeah,
really interesting. When I'm in Germany, I ask people for. It's not like I only like have a speech. It's like more about the communication. I ask people and how you feel like here, what the situation and whatever. In
yeah,
then in Netherlands, let's say, then in somewhere in another country, and it's always like in one moment it can like spend maybe 5 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, but in the end you really understand that we're quite the same people actually, and yeah,
totally.
it's not a lot of difference between us. Yeah, but and I mean, what about the, let's say, the refugee from Iran, because we a little
Mm,
bit start to speak about it.
mm,
And I was in Netherlands maybe like 5 days ago,
mm,
and I was so surprised they like have only like one space, like special space for refugees, and they're like refugees from Ukraine, from Russia, from Iran, and actually this space looks like I don't know, prison or something, and it was already two situation with suicide there from
wow.
LGBTQ plus community from Russia. And I was so like, wow, how it can happen. I mean, that's Netherlands, like
Mm,
Holland in general, have like it's really a rich country, let's say,
yeah, yeah,
but they have so terrible situation with refugee, and actually it's work only because of ultra rights and right politicians use this fear of difference
yeah,
between the people from another culture and country, and they told that with are you want to these people with your children, are you like it's
yeah.
like crazy going on stuff there, are you want this crazy stuff in our country, in our homes, and do you want to, I don't know, spend money from the taxes for these people, just share it or something. They really use somehow this stuff, and then
Mm,
like they start to grow all of the completely shit post-racism stuff actually, and it's like crazy that it happens right now, how it can be after the experience of Second World War and everything. And yeah, it's my big one of the biggest fear actually right now about the post-racism in general, because I see it everywhere. it's
yeah,
it's crazy. Even like
it is.
like I'm studying in Iceland, in Iceland University of Arts, and Iceland have the one of the longest history of democracy, and they really good. Like it's a country where feminism is win. The first president women from was in Iceland, and a
Yeah,
lot of really good stuff. But it's so many post racism there. I mean, racism, it's really clear that's fascism, Nazism, it's bad, but post-racism have this like, like a snake wave, how to like
mm,
catch your mind and think that those people like not safe you to be with them.
yeah. That's very true. That's very true. It must be difficult in that environment, living in that environment. But like you say, you know, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. You see it. You know,
Hmm.
it's yeah. I mean, the you know, kind of politics has become in the last what 7 years more. You know, where it's very obvious and very overt. You know the racism in the politics. Um, but in day to day, you see it, but it's a lot. But there's also a lot more of this. Yeah, what do you call it? Sort of passive, not passive, but it's little, kind of micro aggressions, micro racism events that sort of happen as well, which is so
like daily
dangerous.
life, like
Yeah,
daily life. I think
yeah.
racism. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like in shops, in stores, of black people being followed by assistants, whereas white people don't get followed by assistants. That
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. It's really, really horrific.
Yeah. And it's I think yeah, with racism it starts to be really worse right now for sure. But in the freedom in general, I think like we was in Oklahoma with the Pussy Riot. I mean, it's Tulsa.
Mm,
It's because the Woody Guthrie Prize. We get the Woody Guthrie Prize, and it was like actually it's so it's like a honorary, and it was so cool because Woody Guthrie was one of the first person in America who used the music for racism speech.
yeah,
I mean, the against racism speech, and he has like really good lyrics, like in his songs. But right now in Oklahoma, the abortion are unlegal. How it
mm,
happens? Like
mm,
America, who, like, let's say, try to always be example of like freedom in general. Right
yeah,
now, abortion's more than 1 year for sure. Like it's unlegal.
yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And people told that, what, feminism? We don't need feminism. Okay.
Okay, yeah. No, I know. Diana, it's
Yeah.
really, really great to see you. Really great to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. It's really great to see you, and it's been a great chat. It's always I always find it just like kind of so powerful. When I talk to somebody that really, it, kind of takes what's happening in the world so seriously, and he's doing something about it. It's really, really great to talk to you.
Yeah, I like to talk with you too. Thank you so much.